Oh, Billy Little was a giant of a man and a match winner in his own right. Very strong person.
A wonderful man. He never drank, he never smoked, he never, you know. He was such a wonderful man.
Billy was a star player, of course. Speed, strength, and he could score goals. You know, he really was a great player.
Albert Stubbins was another star of the 1947 side, and he'd be a key figure as Liverpool went into a crucial last game at Wolves.
It was a hot day when we played, and we had to win. We had to win the championship. And with them being top when we met, the odds were on Wolves, you see. We went 2-1, and I got both goals.
And the funny thing about that year was that we had to wait, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks before we knew that we'd won it, because that was the year that some of the games were cancelled and put back because of the snow and the ice. And the news came through from Stoke that Sheffield United had beaten Stoke 2-0 and we'd won the league. Well, all chaos broke out then, you know, it was madness. The champagne came out and, you know, it was a really great day.
And the man behind the success, manager George Kay. He joined the club in 1936, but this was his finest hour.
He was a very solid fella. He never smiled much, if you understand. He was just a rugged type of person. But a very good manager. He knew what he wanted, and he pretty well got what he wanted in those days. You know.
Teams generally didn't indulge in pre-match tactical talks, but on a Friday, George Kay would get us together, and he'd ask each player to give his personal view on what we should do here and what might be done and so forth. And I admired him. I thought he was a fine manager and a fine man.
Liverpool have always been pioneers and lived up to that reputation with several tours of the United States. The boys from Anfield were now the stars of the newsreel age.
It's the match between the Metropolitan All-Stars and our old friends Liverpool Football Club. And right away, the Britishers were shooting hard, fast and straight at the opposition goal. Before long, another British attack was on the way, putting Liverpool 2 up. Half-time, and as far as Liverpool were concerned, there was a lot more scoring to do. Final result was 5-1 in the visitors' favour, so to a victorious team we say, good for you, Liverpool.
But the life of a footballer in the 50s was a world away from today. Even big names such as Albert Stubbins had to content themselves with the maximum wage.
We were on £10 a week, and £2 if we won, and £1 if we drew. Then after 2 or 3 years when I'd been at Liverpool, they raised I think they raised it to £14 per week or something like that.
With the soccer boom breaking new records, the players today entertain 1 million fans every week. Gate money tops £100,000, but the players' top wage is £12 a week, and their playing careers are short. Stating their case is James Guthrie, Players' Union chairman.
The present discontent can be solved by the removal of the maximum wage and freedom on expiration of the yearly contract. Clubs must tackle this grievance now before it is too late.
And I know people find it impossible to believe, and we were drawing, what, 60,000 gates and this sort of thing.
1950 and 70,000 fans packed into Main Road to watch Liverpool beat Everton 2-0 in the FA Cup semi-final.
Swinging the ball about well, the Reds pound the Everton defence. The man who cracks it open is pint-sized Jimmy Payne. His centre is punched out by goalie Burnett, but Bob Paisley lobs it back. And before you can say Liverpool for Wembley, it's in the net. The Reds force corner after corner, but an Everton boot always seems to be there first. But even the best defence must give way, especially to an attack like Liverpool's. Wainwright's hasty clearance goes to little, and Billy makes certain that it'll be an all-red Wembley final.
And so on to Wembley for the first time in the club's history, but one of Liverpool's semi-final heroes was about to suffer the biggest disappointment of his career.
And poor Bob Paisley, he scored in the semi-final. And it came to the final and he wasn't picked. We never seemed to have got over leaving him out of the squad for that particular match.
That was the biggest disappointment he ever had. And he thought at the time of finishing, and I think it was Albert Stubbins at the time, said, I wouldn't, Bob. He said, you don't know what'll happen after this and that. He's always said afterwards that that helped him when he had to say the same thing to to players if he had to leave them out of an important match. He used to say it helped him, having been in that position. He knew what they felt like.
How many miles does a footballer run in a cup final? Well, I can't answer that, but I do know that Liverpool are training hard for the great day at Wembley, and they mean to win. Movietone's exclusive pictures show members from whom the team will be chosen, receiving instruction from their manager, Mr. Kay.
The actual final was very sad for us, really, because I think we really fancied our chances against Arsenal, having beaten them twice that season. But it just wasn't to be, and that was it.
Arsenal back into the assault again. Cox passes to Lewis for a 2-0 victory.
The cup went to Arsenal and their popular captain, Joe Mercer. The defeat was to be a sad end for the influential George Kay. Afterwards, he retired through ill health. And so began a Liverpool tradition. Kay's mantle was handed to a former player who had a managerial style all of his own.
Don Welsh. Well, he was what I call Peter Pan. He was a Peter Pan, you know, he never grew up. Well, you would never believe the things that he'd do.
He did some very wild things, actually, you know, such as standing on his hands in public and things like that.
He was a likeable character. I mean, he signed me by impersonating himself as a police officer coming down onto our local ground to say that is there a mistake up there because there's a bike being stolen. And it was just somebody to point out where I was, and then of course he asked me would I sign, so that was it.
But even Don's unique approach couldn't prevent the decline of an ageing team, and Liverpool were relegated in 1954.
What really happened was that the players that we had got old and left the side, and they'd never replaced them with first-class players.
And consequently, there was a turnover period between Liverpool, as they were at the top, and then there was a changeover until we could get good enough players to get back into the First Division.
It wasn't all doom and gloom, though. In January 1955, Liverpool faced Everton at Goodison in the 4th round of the Cup. Their First Division rivals were hot favourites, but the tipsters got it very wrong.
And less than 20 minutes had passed when the Second Division team put Everton 1 down with a goal by Billy Liddell. This was indeed a severe shock for the home team and their supporters. But about 10 minutes later, following a free kick, a court scored Liverpool's second. Yes, Liverpool were right on top now. And when Evans did it again to clinch a 4-0 victory, all Everton's plans for Wembley were finally upset. Surprise, surprise.
The next man to take up the reins was former captain Phil Taylor, but he fared little better than his predecessor.
Phil was a gentleman. He was a real nice guy, Phil, and I think sometimes you've got to be a bit hard to the extreme. We were up there, but we were just not quite near enough to being successful. And again, there was limited supplies of money, so we had about 6 or 7 good local lads in the side, but we always kept just getting pipped. We were 3rd and 4th instead of being 2nd or 1st.
The 1st of December 1959, perhaps the most pivotal date in the club's history. As Bill Shankly is appointed manager, Liverpool FC would never be the same again.
I don't know if you've ever seen Anfield when I came, but it was the biggest toilet in Liverpool.
I suppose it was like most sort of second division grounds, fairly basic. I remember sort of, first time going into the dressing room and thinking, this is basic for a big football club.
We played Cardiff City the first game and we lost, and we had a meeting on the Monday or the Tuesday, and Bill says, "Boys," he said, "I think there's been some players here too long." And I'm thinking to myself, well, I've been here 9 years,
When Bill Shankly came, he made quite a few changes and more or less said if anybody doesn't want to play for Liverpool, they could say, and they could leave anytime they wanted. So he said he wanted everyone behind him.
He started getting rid of players, and there was one player going out each week, and we always used to be thinking, I wonder when it's our turn.
People forget what a good trainer he was. He introduced all training methods, like